Are you ready to enter the world of property investing without owning a single property? The ultimate shortcut to property investing success is something that most people don't talk about, and I'm going to reveal it all to you today. Stay tuned, because I'm going to walk you through the 12 most important steps that you need to take in order to get started with rent to rent the right way. Cancel all your courses and unsubscribe from everyone else. In this video, you're going to find out all you need to know. I'm going to walk you through the 12 easy actions you need to take in order to have your business up and running. In addition, I would like to mention that I came up with these 12 steps because when I first started rent to rent 7 years ago, I was unable to locate all of the information in one single, easy to access location, and as a result, I've assembled it for you. This video is not the only thing you'll receive. If you stay tuned to the end, I'll provide you with a free rent to rent course that will further your education. Now, if that sounds appealing to you, and if you get something of value from this channel, then all I ask is that you smash that subscribe button so that you're notified whenever I drop these gems. Before we get into it, I want you to know why the hell you should listen to me. You have to get the foundations right, and I think a lot of you might go on a course or read a book and then get on the phone, and then you're like, I can guarantee you the rent, I can offer you a hassle-free solution to landlording, etc. Well, I've been in the rent to rent business for 7 years, and I've done countless deals for myself, and I've mentored hundreds of others who have become successful at rent to rent too. My whole thing is that rent to rent can be simple, but you have to get the foundations right. The amount of messages I receive from people who have recently attended a rent to rent course, for example, who still message landlords and say things like, I'm desperately in need of properties, I'll guarantee you the rent. Those same people end up messaging me wondering why it's not working for them. It's because they've got it totally wrong. I find it extremely frustrating. Don't do any of that. Instead, make sure you are well set up, try and project an impression of professionalism, and get started the right way. You will be successful. Taking these 12 steps will make this task simple. So, let's get down to business. In the first step, you need to establish a limited company for yourself. This is the most important step. Now look, I can't give advice on accountancy, and I can't give advice on finances. All of these are just my opinions and what I did. And you'll see as we go through them, the more of these you have, the easier it will be for you to get started. But personally, I think the first step is for you to make a limited company on Companies House and become a director. That way, by doing this, you have a start date with a professional foundation. Also, you'll not be personally responsible for any of the potential issues that may arise. This is yet another advantage of establishing a limited company. Now, we're always going to behave in the best interest of our landlords, our tenants, and ourselves, but you do not want your personal assets to be linked to your business. Therefore, you should provide yourself protection of working in a limited company. In terms of the tax implications, it can be really beneficial to take control of your tax liabilities, and this is something that you can do with a limited company. If you're serious about getting 5, 10 or 20 rent to rent properties, you're going to have to become a limited company sooner rather than later, regardless of how much money you make. Therefore, exercise caution when speaking with accountants, because some accountants will charge you several £100s to establish a limited company, despite the fact that all you need to do is go on Google and search limited company. A multitude of websites will appear. One of my favourites is Companies Made Simple, and you can establish one of these companies for around £12, or you can just go straight onto Companies House and do it yourself. After you have established your limited company and you're feeling good, you might think to yourself, yeah, I'm going to do this rent to rent thing. And at this point, the next step is to establish a bank account for the company. Because you'll need the company's house number in order to do this task, it's imperative that you complete step 1 before moving on to step 2. It's important to not overthink the situation. Instead, you should choose one of the main banks. If you're in a hurry, there are lots of online banks that are now available. If you go to Google, you will find a couple different online banks that you can set up overnight. You are going to require this business account, and the primary reason you're going to require this is because you are going to want to have complete transparency and a separate entity to yourself. This is because you cannot be operating a limited company through your personal bank account. Therefore, you should establish a separate bank account, transfer money from your personal bank account to the business bank account, utilizing director's loans, and then use the money to pay your rent from the business account. Now is the time to create your brand and design your logo, which brings us to part 3. At this point, it is noteworthy to note that it's not necessary for your brand or logo to be the same as your limited company name. Once you have a company that you believe to be unique and that you know you're able to acquire the domain name, you should go to GoDaddy or whatever.com or Companies House itself and check to see if your domain name is available. Once you have this information, you're ready to create a logo, and I suggest you use Fiverr.com or Upwork to find a freelancer who can help you with this. I want to save you as much money as possible, so I want you to go on Fiverr or Upwork and give those freelancers whatever ideas you have, your brand name and a few logo ideas. There are lots of people designing logos for £20 or £30, and I want you to save as much money as possible, so don't spend too much on this. So, you have your limited company, you have your business bank account, and you have your logo, and you've chosen the name of your trading business. All of these things are now in place. At this point, it's time to build a website. I can't stress enough how much of a game changer it was when I got a website. It was just massive for me. I used a website called Wix, and I designed a simple landing page myself, just listing the benefits of my service. And what I found was that a lot of the time with these landlords, it's the landlord, it's sometimes his wife or his friend, or sometimes siblings, or you may be negotiating through a letting agent. And what happens is, it's like Chinese whispers. You'll say you can guarantee them the rent for 5 years, and somehow from person to person that gets completely lost, and then it's like, oh, they only guarantee the rent for the first 6 months, which means your service gets completely misunderstood. Whereas if you have a website, you can say, look, this is what we do, and by the way, here's our website. And then what happens is, the agents don't have to poorly explain your business model, because there it is in black and white, as you want to express it. Therefore, if you do have a website, you can say this. Your website shouldn't be complicated. A powerful domain name should be chosen, and a list of the perks of your services should be included. Keep it as basic as possible, and instead of trying to appeal to everyone, you should focus on appealing to a specific type of landlord. Right Now will guarantee you your rent. The communications, or comms as the nerds refer to them, are the focus of both number 5 and 6. You're going to require a local landline telephone number in addition to a professional email account. Both of these things cannot be overlooked. This is something that can be easily accomplished when you set up the domain and website. Number 7, and we're flying through this, so let's keep going. All you have to do is follow these specific steps, and you're going to have a rent-to-rent business in no time. So the next step is physical marketing, and what this means is, when you're going around and meeting landlords and agents, it can be beneficial to have some kind of brochure or some kind of leaflet that you can share and say, hey, this is us, this is what we do. When you meet a peer in your same line of work, it's nice to leave people with something tangible, as well as a link to your website that they can look at later. Now that we've covered that, the next step is internet marketing. There are a few hacks that I offer, and you're going to require some type of social presence, social media presence. As you are aware, we're currently living in a world that is dominated by digital and social media, and the most effective and most straightforward method to deliver your marketing message is through digital and social media. So I would advise that you set up at least one social media account, whether that's Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn. I'd recommend that you choose one and stick to it. You should get all of your material loaded up and then begin to trickle out content. Now, it doesn't have to be the best content in the world. At the beginning, it's more about you just formulating that habit and documenting your journey, and also it gives you a timestamp. Think about giving out value, give out tips and document your journey. You never know who's looking. Next, you're going to want to establish a Google business account. This is the next step that you should take. You're going to want that for your company because guess what? When somebody searches HMO management in South Wales, I want my company to pop up. If you're successful in getting all of these things right, you'll discover that landlords will begin to find you. This is exactly what occurred in my business, which allowed me to scale to multiple rent-to-rent properties, which increased my income substantially. The next step is it's necessary for you to register with the Information Commissioner's Office, also known as the ICO. This is the 9th step. Any UK company that's taking people's information needs to be registered for data protection. So, of course, as a rent-to-renter, you're going to be taking landlords' personal information and tenants' personal information, or clients in terms of serviced accommodation, people's information in general. so make sure you get set up properly. You're also obliged to become a member of one of 3 property registration systems. This is the 10th step. My personal preference is for the PRS, since I believe their prices are cost effective and the quality of their service is better than most. Again, make sure that you sign up for a membership. There are different levels of membership, so don't put it off too long. Perhaps you should just sign up for the cheapest one at the beginning to keep your expenses low. After that, you'll be able to display the PRS logo and any other property registration scheme that you choose on your website, which will give you additional credibility. So, are you still with me? I know that's a lot of information to take in, but I really hope that you find it helpful. The 11th point is that you need to secure your company by purchasing insurance. This is an incredibly essential step. At this point, it's important to note that you'll require a variety of insurance policies to cover your needs. In order to protect your company, you'll need to purchase business insurance, which will cover things like public liability insurance and professional indemnity insurance. Lastly, but certainly not least, and this is also another really crucial one, and that is your agreements. You're going to need the appropriate papers in order to actually successfully close on these deals. When it comes to agreements, you're going to find that there are 3 primary sorts of rent-to-rent agreements. Management agreements are the first type of agreement. They're frequently utilized with the vendor directly. The second type is a lease agreement, which is often used again directly with the vendor. Meanwhile, the third type is what's called a company let or a corporate let agreement, and this is typically used when working with letting agents. I would suggest selecting one of the direct to vendor agreements, and then, of course, in terms of the company let agreement, it would be beneficial to obtain a copy to study. However, the agent will normally send you one of those, and you will only need to modify the necessary points and clauses in that before you sign. You should not go and sign a standard company let agreement because it will not be appropriate for what we want to do. If you were to sign an AST for rent to rent, you're entering the realm of illegal subletting. So you need to be sure that you utilize the appropriate papers. If you check the description below, I've included a link to a free rent-to-rent course that will further your rent-to-rent education. I hope you found this video useful. Please remember to subscribe, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.